Good day and welcome to the show, Talking Politics with me, your host, Joseph Chitambo. We'll be talking about Zimbabwean politics today, and with me today I've got two special guests in the studio, Masuku and Ranga Mandizvidza. They are both executive members of a political party based in Zimbabwe, Build Zimbabwe Alliance. So we're talking about Build Zimbabwe Alliance and what it stands for, and we will be hearing from these two representatives with us today in the studio. Noe has traveled all the way from the United Kingdom. She is an executive member of the UK branch of Build Zimbabwe Alliance. And Ranga is based here in Australia. And so first of all, I just want to welcome Noe to Australia. You might have been welcome to Australia already. And welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Ranga, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Chitambo.
So to get the conversation going, I just wanted us to, for our listeners to know what Build Zimbabwe Alliance is, what it stands for. And would you be able to explain to us what Build Zimbabwe Alliance is? No.
Thank you for the floor. Good evening, everybody. I'm Noe Masuku. I'm from the United Kingdom, and I'm executive member of the Build Zimbabwe Alliance. So Build Zimbabwe Alliance is one of the new political parties that we've seen uprooting up in Zimbabwe. We currently have over 70 other political parties in Zimbabwe, but Build Zimbabwe Alliance is one to watch out for. We stand for any citizen of Zimbabwe, regardless of race, religion, or tribal roots, or ethnicity, and any age. So we accept any Zimbabwean to join our political party because we believe that every Zimbabwean has the same rights to their country.
Thank you very much, Noe. You mentioned that Build Zimbabwe Alliance is one of over 70 political parties in Zimbabwe. That's very interesting in many ways. One of the questions, obviously, that people will be asking is, with so many political parties in Zimbabwe, do you think the political space in Zimbabwe is big enough to accommodate Build Zimbabwe Alliance and the other political parties out there? I've got certain information to the effect that there's actually over 95 political parties hoping to contest in the upcoming 2018 presidential election. So my question is, and I know the question that many people out there will be asking is the political space in Zimbabwe big enough to accommodate all these parties?
I think we are witnessing some kind of historic moment in Zimbabwe. In 2018, we have to remember that this is the first election which is where we have a different president, Robert Mugabe. We've grown up in a Zimbabwe led by Robert Mugabe for the past 37 years. We've only had maybe one or two or three political parties, but this time, because of what happened 19 November 2017, everybody has decided to exercise their right to freedom of speech. Everybody is now expressing their political opinions differently. People are tired of seeing the country go down, and everybody now wants to stand for what they want, and people are uprooting, forming political parties. However, we have to remember that though Zimbabwe is so small, people can express themselves differently. So we Build Zimbabwe Alliance. We are that kind of a party that doesn't promote violence. We accept any Zimbabwean, be it you're abroad in diaspora in South Africa, Canada, America, any Zimbabwean is welcome to join our party. And we'll offer something that's different from every other political party. So we stand for, we want to get rid of corruption. And by so doing that, we'll start from the top to the bottom. So you lead from the top to the bottom. Zimbabwe is in a country that has got so many resources, but they're mismanaged. Build Zimbabwe Alliance will work for the people of Zimbabwe. We will work for the citizens of Zimbabwe. We are not a party that will work to line our own pockets and our friends. We stand for the people of Zimbabwe, and we'd like that everybody has the opportunity to actually benefit from what Zimbabwe has to offer. All those minerals that we have in Zimbabwe, they could actually bring our country up. Our GDP is the moment is about 16.1 billion. We can triple that in about 10 years' time if we manage resources well. And the people of Zimbabwe, you need to vote not based on emotions. We need a change, but we need to make the right change. Not change based on popularity or based on promises that you're being given. We at Build Zimbabwe Alliance, we will never give you promises we can't keep. We give you realistic values, things we have to work at. And Build Zimbabwe Alliance, we're not going to overturn the economy in 100 days. It's going to take years, a few years, but we have things in line that we look at to start with. For instance, we have a cabinet that's very big at the moment, and that's more of the public spending is going. Build Zimbabwe Alliance would like to reduce that to 15 ministries only. Then that will save up, we'll get rid of all the vice positions and also have only one vice president. That means that we are saving money there. And that money should be saving the people of Zimbabwe. That money can be put into the health system. We have a very, very bad health system in Zimbabwe at the moment. You cannot go to a hospital. Doctors are on strike at the moment. We shouldn't be in that position as a country with all those minerals. We should be using our money to improve the economy in Zimbabwe.
Thank you very much for that. You did mention that, Build Zimbabwe Alliance is different from the other parties, obviously, and you've pointed out in many ways that it is different. For example, you said that you want to, if elected, Build Zimbabwe Alliance will reduce the size of the cabinet, which has always been a thorny issue in Zimbabwean politics, dating back to, soon after independence. Now, many political parties that have, come up in the political landscape in Zimbabwe have made these promises before that, look, we will reduce, the size of the cabinet, we will do A, B, C. What is it about Build Zimbabwe Alliance that is different from all those political parties that have come and gone, and some of them that are still there, that makes it stand out? Why should people believe in what Build Zimbabwe Alliance is promising to the people of Zimbabwe?
Let me just take you back on the previous person about how big is the political space. 37 years of mismanagement have actually opened up a bigger space, actually a big chunk, of which one or two or three parties would quite be a big chunk to chew, to bite. So the issues that we have in the current situation is actually quite a big space for political amendments. And also about the issue of how varied, how different are BZA. If you're following the social media to start with, how it came, its message, as she has mentioned earlier on, is not about actually on the constitution also it says it's not about to choose a leader for the sake of choosing, but competence and proficiency levels. Also the approach, the methodology is working with and through people, not to sideline and put a bigger gap between leaders and people. Leaders should be leaders of the people, not people to be owned by leaders.
Yes.
So through that approach, going on to the promises have to be tangible. If you look at the inception of BZA, you would see things that were mentioned. They were very basic needs of a person, of a Zimbabwean. You need to sleep, hence you need a home. You need to eat, hence you need food. You need to travel to work, hence you need roads. Just to mention but a few.
Yes.
So all these promises, they are not only promises, they're actual needs that as Zimbabwean people need. And we think for the current situation as there, which has opened to democracy, they say open for business, we yet to see that, and open for democracy for everyone. Hence the space is there for everyone.
Yes.
And also through that approach, I would like to think BZA has got something to offer that is tangible, that is smart, is inachievable.
Okay. You mentioned, both of you mentioned some very good points there. That, all these promises that you have highlighted, which are in your constitution or manifesto, which I was going to come to at some point. The people of Zimbabwe have been promised a lot of things in the past. And one would be forgiven to think that there is a lot of skepticism within the population in Zimbabwe about all these promises. And they come from all different political parties. Now, how do you convince the potential voters that the message that we have today is different from what they are used to, what they've been given for the last 30 or so years? How do you convince people to vote for you?
Okay, so we have a 10-point plan as part of our manifesto. So we've split up everything that we need to do according to priority. So like the first I've mentioned about the cutting down of the cabinet to 15. We've got the second one whereby we want to defend the constitutional rights of all citizens of Zimbabwe. That's also one of the priority, because at the moment there's a lack of human rights and the law around that. So we need to make sure that the people have all the rights to the law. We're also going to have a devolving in the presidency. At the moment, the current situation is everything happens in Harare, the development, the big meetings. So in the BZA, the president will have a mandate to spend at least maybe a week out of the month in each constituency to get to understand the people of that area, what their needs are, so that for the development will be based per region, because not every city will need the same quality of staff required. They have different means. We've got people like small miners. They'll be probably in areas like where there's like Shangani or Shabani, where there's mines. Then you've got the people in Victoria Falls who've got more tourism. So their needs are going to be different. But if you're a president and you spend time in Harare mostly, you'd never know the needs of your people in Victoria Falls. So all the development...
You could learn from your ministers now.
Yes, but then you have to personal touch as a president. You have to know all your citizens, because you represent every Zimbabwean, regardless whether they are in the cosmopolitan towns or they are in the rural areas. The development has to happen everywhere. So we're going to do that devolution of power. So you have to have the right ministers. The ministers that are chosen have to be chosen by the people, but they have to have the right qualities.
Can I just interrupt you? Sorry.
Yes.
You mentioned a very interesting point, which I think is something that is very contentious in Zimbabwe at the moment. The issue of devolution of power. What is your party's position of that? When you say devolution of power, how are you gonna do that? So, how is that going to work out?
So the devolution of power, what will happen is we'll have a councillor for each constituency or an area. That councillor has to work for the people for that area. So that councillor will go then up to the member of parliament or the ministry for whatever is required. And that has to work. So in each province, the councillors will have people that are working under there. So we need to people a working force that will be working and being productive. We don't want to have people that are working because so and so knows so and so, and they're just working. It's a number, but there's no production going. People have to really work, and all the channels will be followed. So if, for example, we say we've got Manicaland and something is required there, the councillor will present that paper up the line, and that will have to be approved and then goes to the headquarters. But each budget will be for each constituency.
So you're talking more of like even decentralization of decision making as well, and use of resources, to meet the needs of that particular area.
Yes.
Yeah. The good thing is, if you look at the formation of BZA, the issue of grassroots has always been of paramount importance. Everything, it starts from the grassroots. Though you need leadership actually to do the capacity building and the synchronization of every other constituents to the up to the top of BZA, but every other thing like budget and any issue, it has to represent people on the ground. Hence, she mentioned that the president has to actually do a lot of traveling. From the 37 years, it's not a secret. The president has been traveling outside.
I was going to say that we had a very well.
So we need to change. We need to change the formula. Definitely, if the team is not winning, you need to change the formula.
So what you are telling potential voters out there is that we'll have a president who will be traveling to the people that actually need him the most.
Not as a parallel system. The councillors, the ministers will be doing their responsibilities, but parallelism sometimes is important. They're traveling, he's traveling. They signaging with people, he's communicating with people. He or she.
For example, look at a place, let's take a place where they have, maybe they've got diamonds in that area. that area.
Yeah, we had diamonds in Manicaland.
Yes, so in Manicaland, that should be presented. You should be able to see that.
Are you saying then that those diamonds, for example, should benefit only the people of Manicaland?
Not necessarily.
Because I can see that being a problem.
Not necessarily, no. So if Manicaland's got diamonds, the people that should work there should be people from Manicaland. It should develop Manicaland. However, it is spread accordingly, evenly in the country. However, the people of Manicaland shouldn't suffer when they've got a diamond.
My question to that is if we are to have a policy like that, wouldn't that create problems of, for example, regionalism, for example, or even tribalism? Because then people would complain that, oh, you know what, jobs are only going to the people of Manicaland. Simply because those resources are in Manicaland, it does not necessarily mean that the people of Manicaland only should benefit from those resources. Do you not anticipate that being an issue?
I don't think you got me right there. So I say it should be in line. It doesn't mean that this will only benefit Manicaland, but they should be saying that town has got these resources. The development in that town should resemble what's in there. However, that money for the diamonds should benefit the country as a whole. However, the people in that area, they should have the resources being developed there. You should have more shops or schools, clinics that are better.
They should also benefit from the resources. That's what you are saying.
Yes, everybody also benefit, but it has to be in line with that.
We need to stop the parasitic process whereby where the resources are, there's no development at all.
Yes.
This has to stop. But what we're saying is the decentralization will improve the efficiency of administrative responsibilities of a government, in the sense that there will be a feedback as regards to the needs of a particular area, and also there will be feedback to the quantum of resources we have. Hence, the administration of the government. It might be centralized as in the system, but as in men and resources, they have to be decentralized and improve the whole of Zimbabwe. So it's not they don't eat diamonds in Manicaland. They need other resources as well. So this is where BZA is coming to decentralize everything. But there are things that you have to look into. Maybe I might say method, men as in the politicians, manpower, leaders and the like. Then money, some they have money, some they don't have money. All those things they need to actually synchronized and signaged to the betterment of the whole country.
Well, you hope that there will be still some diamonds left if you guys get elected. That there will still be some diamonds, because what I hear is that they are nearly finished. Maybe we need to discover some more minerals from other regions in Zimbabwe. So we'll move on to another issue that I wanted you to clarify or to explain to our viewers out there. What is the structure of BZA in Zimbabwe? Could you tell us who actually is BZA?
Okay. So in BZA, the nominated president is Dr. Noah Manika. And would like to set the record straight. Manika is actually resident in Zimbabwe. He has been for the past 3 or 4 years.
That was going to be my next question.
He's based in Harare. So no people say that Dr. Manika is living in America.
Yes.
You cannot be a presidential candidate without taking residence in your country. So he has been in America before doing other programs, but he is now resident in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's good that you clarify that important point, because I think from your website, from BZA website, it sort of indicates that your leader is actually not based in Zimbabwe. As I said, I'm glad that you clarified that, because my next question was, how then do you hope to convince people to vote for you if you are not actually living in the country that you want to be elected president for? But so you mentioned you've got Dr. Manika as your presidential candidate going into 2018.
Yes.
Who else will be campaigning in Zimbabwe? Because presumably you will be campaigning for other parliamentary in the parliamentary positions as well, in local government elections as well.
Yes.
Tell us some more about that.
Well, there's a lot of work to be done in Zimbabwe. So Dr. Manika and the team on the ground have been trying to reach out to the people. We've got William Pilbrow, some of them known as Witso, they call him. He's a vice president of the BZA. So we have other candidates in other areas that will be protesting at the moment, contesting. We have programs in each area who are actually developing people who would like to take up office or like just normal skills to try and get people trained and geared and ready for that. So it's still work in progress.
But you actually have people on
yes,
the
we have
ground
a structure, yes.
in Zimbabwe.
Yes, we have a structure in Zimbabwe. And Dr. Manika has been involved in quite a lot. You remember the floods in, was it Cholocho? Or was it Lupani? There were some floods a few years ago. He actually helped with those floods in doing a lot of groundwork there. They've been campaigning in Zwimba. As you all know, in Zimbabwe, it's not easy to be campaigning if you're an opposition party. They went to Zwimba.
But things have changed though, so...
Yes, it's still difficult. You can't get...
we need to learn.
Yes,
if we are actually to establish democracy, it comes with a price.
Yes.
Democracy... Different political parties, we're not enemies. We are a system for the betterment of the country, right? Because there's we don't opposition parties. They don't have resources. We don't have resources. We have to.
That is a good point that you have mentioned there. Well, that you are not necessarily enemies.
Although
previously, obviously, when ZANU-PF and the MDC were the main, dominant parties, which I think they still are. I mean, the climate that was created there was one of, being enemies, really. But my point then, my next question is, if your position is that we are not necessarily enemies, why is it that you are going into this election as an individual party? There is talk in Zimbabwe at the moment of, parties coming together to form a coalition, like the MDC Alliance, for example, and other smaller parties. They've come together to form an alliance. What is your position on that?
Well, as BZA, we believe we've got a strong manifesto and our beliefs are different. So we will not join an alliance which are not working towards the same goals. So if you look at the alliances that are being formed now, it's only one thing. They just want to remove the current government. What are they going to do next? Are you going to choose a person because they're going to remove that? Or do you want to choose the right leadership with the right manifesto, with the right policies? People that are going to promise you something and they're going to follow through? Or are they just telling you what you want to hear because we are so desperate in need of change in Zimbabwe? So they'll join up with anybody and everybody so that they can just win. We are not about that. We are there for the citizens and we want to give you the best government we can, with no corruption, no violence, no hard feelings with any other parties. However, it's Zimbabwe. We will not join somebody just because everybody else is joining. We are unique. We're a party that wants to bring change to Zimbabwe, a different type of politics, a different style. We're not politicians as you would think, like MDC and ZANU, who are there to win and gain something. We are leaders. We are builders of the nation. We want to build a Zimbabwe that will benefit me, you, and you, even a ZANU-PF youth, a MDC youth, a Gogo in Zishavane. Anybody, we're not going to come out and say, because it's time to vote, we're going to give you a packet of rice. Then we'll forget you for another 5 years. But we want to give you the land to work with and the resources. You then can have your own rice and go and sell to GMB or wherever you can.
Land. Okay. Land. We already, gave land to the people. So which land are we talking about?
Not necessarily about that kind of land to give to the people. We mean like people who are wherever you are. You should be able to, if you live in the rural areas, you should be able to plant your maize and go and sell to GMB and have a living from that. Not expect me as a politician to come after 5 years and give you a pack, 2 kg of rice and sugar, vote for me, then forget about you, and then you suffer for 5 more years.
For the next 5 years.
Yes, we want you to be able to say, I can plant my maize, I'll go to GMB, I'll get paid my money, and I'll go and do this, I can trade, I can do all that. We're not going to spoon feed you, but we'll give you the resources that you need to be able to get where you need to be.
Currently, people, they actually need to be empowered in any aspect of life. Even spiritually. Look at the churches. I'll take that as an odd one out. People, they are not spiritually empowered because of famine that is in the country. Okay?
Because of the drought and the sanctions.
Everything, man-made, artificial and non-artificial, all these things. So what BZA is trying to do is to actually you ask, you put a question across earlier on to say, how are you going to? There's no need to blindfold people and say, come and vote for us. There is a big need. And the people, they need to be conscientized to say, you need to rise up. You need to take up a stance.
Okay.
And you've got a social responsibility to take up. In our language, we say, okay?
Yeah.
It takes many. It takes many to tango.
So as a political party that is hopeful of one day forming a government in Zimbabwe, what are you doing as a party to conscientize people in Zimbabwe? You said that that's what you want to build, that capacity in Zimbabwe, by conscientizing people and so forth. So what is your party doing in that respect?
We are at the moment we are running some development programs for people in each areas, and we have also plans to, if we get into government, we've got plans of developing people in the rural areas, and we have plans for the youth for how people can get jobs, because at the moment we know with technology there's less manual labor required because of technology. We need to visit that and see how we can change that. We've got so many people who are very learned in Zimbabwe. We are so rich in intellectuality. People are so creative, but nothing is being done about that. It's just being wasted. So we need to introduce an economy that would allow those people to excel, be it small miners. We have these people who go gold panning, and then they're selling gold at a price which is less than what it should be. Those people should be empowered to be able to sell at the local market, and empower them with the right equipment. We have to provide those kind of things. So as BZA, we want to take things step by step with the people of Zimbabwe and encouraging everybody to take part. Don't use your emotions in 2018 to vote and just say, I'm just going to vote this because I'm this. You have to look and see, what am I going to get from this? And is this party going to deliver? And is this party going to work for you? BZA is a party that's going to work for the people of Zimbabwe. We don't have to be told we will do the right thing. But we believe we've got what it takes to change Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe needs a complete change, complete different political game altogether from what we've had in the past.
That is a very brave thing to say there for, people who are, aspire for political office usually do not want to make, these concrete promises. But I really do admire that coming from you guys as a party. And my next question is on elections in Zimbabwe. Obviously, we are going into 2018, and we know previous elections have been, characterized by violence and elections that were not free and fair. What are your hopes for 2018 in terms of free and fair elections?
Well, Zimbabwe, 2018, this is a historic year, like I said before. 2018 is very historic. We can foresee at the moment there's already violence breaking up within parties, having factions of different types of things, violence within the same political party, violence against other parties. But BZA does not and will not accept any violence within our party.
I think the MDC said the same thing a few years ago.
Yes, but
we have seen what is happening in there now.
Yes, but we can guarantee you with BZA, we will not be part of any violence.
We have a chance,
yes,
and we're not going to miss our chance. Other parties have missed their chance. They've said something that they couldn't hold their word for.
But what brings violence to a political party is greed and ego. If I can't win, then I want to fight the next person. But we are not like that. If you don't vote for BZA, we won't fight you because it's your choice. Your voice is your choice. It's your right. You cannot be forced to vote for somebody who you don't.
Well, that should be the situation in any democratic, society. Anyway, we'll move on to the next point. There has been the issue of sanctions in Zimbabwe. This is an issue that has sort of polarized the political environment in Zimbabwe. What is BZA's view on the issue of sanctions? Some people have said these are not sanctions. These were restrictive measures that were put, against certain individuals and organizations linked to ZANU-PF. but other people insist that these are sanctions. What are your views on that issue?
Sanctions we will put in place if an investor wants to invest money or countries. There's got to be some requirements that have to be met, and if those are not met, then you cannot get. It's the same as you go and apply for a mortgage. You've got to provide that you've got a job, you've got health insurance, you've got insurance that will cover in case you can't pay your mortgage. But if you haven't got those things, would you say then you've got sanctions?
No.
BZA will provide a government that will bring reassurance to the investors, and if you can meet the requirements, then you will get all the partnerships you need.
Okay. So what I meant was, the sanctions that have been that were imposed on the Robert Mugabe government, for example, and certain individuals in that government by the West, like the Americans, the European Union, and what is your view about those sanctions?
Well, sanctions is a very complicated subject that is BZA. When these sanctions were put in, BZA was not even formed yet. We are a new party which was formed in 2016, so we're not privy to the sanctions and whatever.
Well, but they are there now.
If they are there now,
yeah,
and if we go into power, we have to make sure that the house is clean, and we'll visit that at that time. And whoever's put those sanctions, if there are any sanctions, they'll have to see what kind of a government we have. We have to prove what we're going to do, and then that we can tackle that then at that point, because we can't speak for previous political parties and what sanctions they had and why. Everybody knows why. But
the big question is what was the triggering effect for the sanctions?
Well, maybe that's for SANU PF to ask.
So this is what I was saying,
because they still disputed that these sanctions were justified anyway. What I wanted to know was what the position of your party is with respect to the sanctions that are there, because we know that they are still there, and what a government that is formed by your party, if elected, would do in terms of these sanctions.
We will engage with the involved parties and open dialogue and see what went wrong. What was it? Because a new government cannot be held responsible for what the previous government's done. And we have to prove ourselves how we're going to do this. So obviously, if you have good partnerships and open dialogue and start to show the ways of getting rid of corruption, because corruption is the main root of everything, because if the funds are being mismanaged, so people can't keep pouring money in.
It's high time, you and me and viewers, it's high time we need to stop scratching where it's not itching. Our leaders are one of the main issue is about accountability.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay.
Then from there we'll work it out.
Right. The other issue that is obviously being talked about mostly in Zimbabwe, besides the issue of free and fair elections, is the diaspora vote. As a party that has got its roots in the diaspora,
not really. The roots are in Zimbabwe.
No, I mean when the party, the way that the party was formed.
It was formed in Zimbabwe,
but by people based in the diaspora.
The leader was in the diaspora.
Yes,
but however, the people are in Zimbabwe.
Why are we?
That's
here?
what are we? Yeah, I get your point.
It's paining us. We want to come here on holiday, not to run away from home.
Okay,
so we are homeward bound.
Okay,
BZA is homeward bound.
Okay, so what's your view on the diaspora vote?
The diaspora vote, if you're not aware, if you're in diaspora, you are allowed to vote this year, but you have to travel to Zimbabwe. You go and register. It's still open. There's some places that are open. If you go onto our website, which is www.buildzimbabwealliance.org, there will be a link there to tell you where you can go and register. Once you register, you can then go back home at a time and vote. So you are allowed, but we can't vote where you are.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was actually asking about. In other countries, like here in Australia, Australian diasporans in other countries all over the world, they're allowed to vote, postal votes and all that. But obviously our government in Zimbabwe, that has never been allowed before.
Yes.
So my question to you, as BZA, what is your position on that? And if you were elected,
yes, what
would you do about that issue of, the diaspora vote?
If BZA is elected, we'll make sure that any Zimbabwean, doesn't matter where you are in the world, you have the right to vote. We will use the consulates, the embassies to be voting stations. People can register electronically you can have, or even, like the cards that you can take and you can go and vote wherever you are, because you are a Zimbabwean, regardless where you live. You've got a right to vote. You've got a right to what happens in your country, even if you've taken residence somewhere else. You have. I think the current government back then didn't want diaspora vote because the people in diaspora are quite, they know what they want. They know that they've tasted the freedom of speech. So the vote was going to go against the government at that point. So that's why they didn't want the diaspora vote. But now they say they want it, but it's short notice and you can't vote where you are. You've got to travel. So if we're realistic, if you're in Canada, you need about $2,000 to travel to go and register, and about $2,000 to go and vote. Who is going to do that? But if you can, and if you happen to be traveling to Zimbabwe right now, just go and register and then go back to vote.
And what is your prospects for a free and fair election in Zimbabwe?
Free and fair election, that's a very important question. I think the elections this year are going to be better because they've allowed international community to come in. However, how things can turn out there, we don't know. But we're hoping for a free and fair election. But also what I would like to encourage viewers is most of the viewers or people do not register to vote because they've given up, right? The only change you will make is you go register and you go and vote. Because most people will not go to register to vote and then they will say, oh, this was rigged or this and that because they haven't registered. You've got to go and register and you vote. And you should know that your vote is your vote. It's a secret. There's no cameras in the ballot box. Nobody's watching you, no matter what anybody tells you. Your vote is your secret.
That is a very important message, and I think that is one message that we have been, hammering on this program as well for a long time. That if you don't vote, nothing will change. Nobody will vote for you, and there's no point sitting around and complaining that things are not changing when you haven't actually taken the necessary steps to vote if you have the capacity to do so. Now, my other question to you, SPZA, is if, say, one of the main political parties in Zimbabwe, take the MDC, for example, if they were to come to you guys and say, look, we have read your manifesto, we know what you guys are offering, it's what we want to offer to the people of Zimbabwe as well. Why can't we get into a coalition? What would your response be?
Well, that's obviously a very difficult question because you can like my manifesto and you can say that's what you want, but it's how you do the things you do that will then tell the people of Zimbabwe what kind of a party you are. So if you're a party and you can't unite as one party, and you break up, and every day chunks of people go away and all this, and you go around mimicking the current government, having a motorcade, spending money on things that don't matter, and the people following you. So what difference are you from the party that's ruling? And why would you be desperate to form an alliance? Why are you so desperate to want to win?
So in short, your answer will be no.
I'm not saying no, but I'm saying why would we
We're
want
looking
to
at the current situation.
What is
It's just a
happening.
Replication of the past
Exactly.
past years. It's really a big letdown. We also need to win with a very tight, up and coming party, not a breakaway parties and dilapidated party. We need stiff competition for the good of the country, not for we just don't want to win for the sake of winning. We really need good ideas, good parties, good people, good leaders. So if you see parties are just breaking away,
forming again,
it's hard. Where do you hinge on? Where do you hinge on when a party is breaking away like a trail is just going? Which branch do you have to hold on and say they will uphold our manifesto? It's all about upholding people's trust and people's hopes and people's votes, making use of people's votes. But what's happening now? You can see for yourself.
For example, would you join a party? Even going to an alliance, a party that promises you a bullet train in a country where there is no electricity. Would you do that? Is that realistic? Would you do that? You wouldn't. And also, if you think of
I think anybody would love a bullet train.
For the past 10, 12 years, the party MDC has had a minister, MPs of the city of Harare, Bulawayo, every urban cities. What difference have they made? So now you want to give them the whole country to lead when they can't even make a change in a small constituency.
But would you object? Well, if say the idea of the bullet train was, to become a reality, or if as the MDC have said that they will put a bullet train between Harare and Bulawayo, which would take, I think, 35 minutes, which I think is very very ambitious.
You see some of these things, if I may.
Are those things that we need to start thinking about, though? Because if we have that mentality that now, look, this idea is so much of a pie in the sky, it's unachievable. Are we ever going to be able to achieve?
No, let's say it's achievable. I just want to take you back. Maybe if you had time, if you have time sometime, just go back and look at the start and inception of BZA. What's current situation in Zimbabwe doesn't need rocket science. We've got an old woman down in Gandawaro there. Maybe no breadwinners, maybe taken off maybe by AIDS or natural causes. There's no accountability. The national registration it's not up to date. It doesn't take account of its own human beings in there. So we've got basic things, basic needs in the country that have to be attended to. Health, food, education, infrastructure.
Well, Ranga is attending to those at the moment. His wife is going around hospitals, saying, what needs to be done.
Yes, but how long is it going to take? And when are you going to... My question is regarding the bullet train, okay, is when and after what? After doing that for you to achieve a bullet train between that. And what is the purpose? What is the objectivity? We really need to give hope. We really need to give humanity back to the Zimbabwean people.
So what you are saying is, what you are promising as a party is that you have, a tangible, not, some of these promises that are sort of unachievable or that are cosmetic, that take long to achieve. So that you focus on the immediate needs of the people.
Yes,
is that what
exactly. You can follow the social media, the very basic needs. You need to dress up people. They've lost humanity.
When then are you going to address these other not so basic needs?
Like I can just take you back. I can take you back. It's very practical. What Dr. Manyiga is doing right now, he's got some charity activities that he's been doing. If you follow on the social media, it's not being done to as a recreation to garner votes. No, it's being done right now. It's there. It's been doing it before, and it's done. And what he's saying, you and me and viewers, come, let's continue together.
Right.
You see, it's actually a village that brought up a child. We need to look after our vulnerable people, especially those people that brought us where we are right now. They've been forgotten in Zimbabwe. So, hence, Dr. Manyiga is reaching out all the remote pockets of Zimbabwe. God willing, he's been there. And we are saying, let's do it together. We're not promising anything. It's there. It's a need that needs to be attended to. It has to be done. You and me. Hoping democracy will take its course in Zimbabwe.
Brilliant. So the other point, perhaps the last point that we'll touch on today, is what you think would bring about a free and fair election in Zimbabwe. What are you hoping to change in terms of the electoral systems in Zimbabwe for there to be a free and fair election?
Well, all the political parties should be allowed the same coverage by media, by the state media. The funding should be the same. Everybody should have access to equal funds as a democratic country. The police should be freed. Police, army, and air force should be freed from being tied to a political party. They should be apolitical and concentrate on restoring order in the country, law and order, and protecting the citizens of Zimbabwe as they are set out to be, as it is in the constitution. Also, people should not be harassed or threatened to have to belong to a certain party, or if me and you don't agree on party policies, we shouldn't fight. We are all Zimbabweans. We want the same thing. We should be understanding the democracy of things. That's how you can discuss openly about, oh, I'm MDC, but I don't agree with that. I'm ZNP, I don't agree with that. But not fight because you're MDC, you can't wear your T-shirt. I'm going to do this for you. No, so it's not yet at that stage. We are hoping for that. We know they've opened it to the public for people to come in and monitor, but what goes on behind the scenes.
But you're hoping for more, yes.
We're hoping for more. We hope to see the coverage. Or if you watch ZBC News, you will never see anything about an opposition party unless if there's something bad that's happened.
Yeah, I like that point that you make there about broadcasters, giving space to every political party. Like what we do here at Mtapa TV. Obviously, we don't we don't discriminate on political opinions, and we welcome every political view. And another question I wanted to ask for clarification.
Yes.
To be able to mount an election campaign, it requires a lot of resources, financial resources, and material resources as well. How is your party managing in that area? How do you, as a party, get your funding from?
Well, as a party, we as members, we try and help where we can, but we also obviously looking for funding, and that's why we've got our website where people can donate, so that we can be able to reach out as far as we can. So if you go to www.buildzimbabwealliance.org, there is a page there whereby people can donate and help us achieve the goals that we need. Because obviously funding is something that's very crucial for a political party in a country like Zimbabwe, whereby you don't get funding at all from the government. It only goes to the ruling party. So we have to do with what we can. Yeah.
Okay. Brilliant. So you've heard from Noe and Ranga, two executive members of Build Zimbabwe Alliance. If you would want to know more about Build Zimbabwe Alliance, you can visit their website at www.buildzimbabwealliance.org. There's more information there. If you would want to make some donations, you will be able to do that on their website. Finally, do you have a message for potential voters out there?
Yes. Okay, so we would like to thank you for taking the time to watch this, viewers, wherever you are. In diaspora, if you can't vote, your members of the family can vote. You can talk to them because they don't have access to social media. You can talk to them and tell them about BZA policies and what we are about and what we promise, and tell them to vote for us if you believe in us. We want to take Zimbabwe to the next level where it should have been. Since we've been independent for more than 38 years, we should be somewhere else. So we want to take you back there to become the bread basket of Africa again. So please do register to vote. It's still open until 2 weeks before the actual elections. Go and register to vote and go and vote for your party. Do not be afraid. Your vote, your secret, your choice. The change you want, you make it.
None of us is actually stronger than all of us. People of Zimbabwe, rise up, go and vote. At least just rise up, go and vote. If you don't know where to vote, just rise up, go and vote. But Build Zimbabwe Alliance is here to give you humanity, sense of belonging, and sense of ownership as far as Zimbabwe is concerned. God bless and stay blessed. See you 2018 elections.
So we would like to do our BZA talk, which we normally do at the end of the show if you allow us to do. So yes, BZA, we put our right hand onto our heart, and then we say, Zimbabwe ilizwe letu, ilifa letu. Zimbabwe nyika yedu, naka yedu. Zimbabwe, our country, our heritage. God bless Zimbabwe.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Ranga and Noe. It was really a pleasure having you on this program, and we hope to have you on the program again in future. Thank you very much. Until next time, stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Zimbabwe.
Thank you. God bless.